what we have, and we'll keep them up to date as to what anything had been missing. So calling the meeting to order, we have a quorum here established, so we are good. I'm gonna just make myself the temporary chairperson since Elaine is not present. And Chris already offered to be the temporary secretary. So we're moving right along. With number 5, I do need to make a change in the agenda. I need to add on school usage for both Right at School and the Test Prep Chicago. So because they are an outside vendor, we need to get permission from and to vote on LSC vote for both of these companies to use our building. Both provide a service to our students and parents. So we'll talk more about that when we get to that part of it.
Sorry, Chris, it was Right at School, and what was the other one?
Test Prep Chicago.
Okay.
That's for our 7th graders for the selective enrollment, and 8th graders can be for the selective enrollment class tests that they have to take. So moving along here, I'm going to take any nominations for the chairperson. Elaine did say that she is happy to continue for her last year, but I just didn't want to exclude anybody in the group if they were interested in becoming the chair for this school year. If anyone is interested, please speak up.
I nominate Elaine Fitzgerald. I just feel like she's done a fantastic job, and the fact that she's willing to do it for her last year, I'm so grateful. Unless there's not anybody else, but I just would like to formally nominate her.
Okay, perfect. Any other nominations? Okay, and not hearing any, I'm going to recommend that Elaine become our chairperson. Can we have a vote on that? All in favor? You can just say aye.
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 Any nays? Perfect. All right, Elaine is in as our chairperson, and she will chair our first meeting. Just so as a reminder to everyone, no meeting in August. We do have a meeting in September, so we will start that up and going. Okay, and then I would like to open it up for a nomination for the selection of a secretary. Okay, I'm going to nominate Chris because I already had a conversation with him.
I was going to nominate if he was willing as well. He's been doing a great job.
I'm willing, happy to pass it on to somebody if anyone wants to hold the torch, the notes torch.
The notes torch. I think that notes torch belongs to you, Chris.
Okay, I'm up for it, yeah.
So I'm going to nominate Chris. We're going to bring him forward. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? None heard. So Chris, congratulations. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you.
For the secretary. Appreciate it. And then we have traditionally always had a vice chair, though it's not a requirement. Saguenash always has had one. Is there anybody that would like to come forward to nominate themselves or somebody for the vice chair? And this would be someone that would take over the meeting if Elaine was not able to attend.
Yeah, I'll just add, if this is Elaine's last year, it'll probably be good to have
for sure
someone as a backup.
I can volunteer for that.
Katrina, do you want to do it?
Yep.
Awesome. Any other nominations? Okay. And so not hearing, I would like to move forward Katrina to be our vice chair for the school year. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Perfect. Thank you, Katrina. Appreciate that. It's a great way to learn running the meetings and Robert Rules of Order, all that. The FOIA, they said that we can keep the same FOIA person. That's Freedom of Information Act. Deepak, that was you. Are you still willing to be our FOIA officer in case somebody would like to FOIA any of our minutes, though we are recorded? or any other information or documents. Are you still okay doing that, Deepak? Uh-oh, did I lose Deepak? Is this
Sorry.
his?
I'm
Is
muted. I was talking and I was muted. Sorry about that. I don't mind doing that. I recall that there was a change in the, I don't know if it was a change in the law or the change in the FOIA Act, but I didn't get training on it.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that you get your training done. So I will reach out to Luis to make sure you get that.
All right.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So all in favor for Deepak to be our FOIA officer? Say
Aye.
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 Any nays? Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, the next thing is on the agenda is the dates for our meetings. Now, we haven't received full guidance on whether or not they are in person or they can be virtual or a mix. Though I do have to say we received a lot more participants when it was virtual, and I think it's very convenient for everyone too. But I also do feel that it's important for us to be on campus and for parents to see us in person as well for information or for to be able to attend our meetings. So I did have a conversation earlier with some members and talked about maybe unless we're told that we have to have them in person to do a mix of both. And one of the recommendations was to have at least one in-person meeting in the cafeteria quarterly, if that's okay. Or are you taking over? Sorry. So just wondering, you know what, Sean, would almost be better to put up is the school, CPS's school calendar as opposed to the agenda. Sorry, I don't mean to jump on.
And so that would be, Chris, like let's say 2 in person, I'm sorry, 2 virtual. And then maybe the third within the quarter would be the state of the school, which would be in person. And then another quarter, 2 virtual, and
For
then
sure.
another one in person, so that we have both.
For sure. So November, I am recommending that we have it in person, so in the cafeteria for the state of the school. And then there's a second state of the school that I give for up and coming next school year's budget and CIWP. This is a year that we need to rewrite our CIWP, though I think it's going to look very familiar to us as last year we weren't able to get complete as much as stuff that we wanted to being virtual. So I'm recommending the April meeting. I don't know if it's going to be April or May. And I don't know whether to put a date on the month of April because I'm going to assume April is going to be the month that that we will need to balance our budget for next year. So it's at this point I'm gonna say April's meeting should be in the cafeteria and November should be in the cafeteria for sure. So let's go ahead and take a look at this month by month. The month of August, we usually do not have a meeting. We will have Organization Day. We are going to make an announcement and put it in the newsletter on Wednesday, August 4th. So that will be, information will be there. So there's no need for a meeting for that month. In September, I'm looking at the calendar. My recommendation would be the 20th, just because the week of the 13th will probably have curriculum night, several nights that week, because we try to get it up and running right away for our parents to make sure that they've met the teachers and know the learning expectations for their students. So September 20th, does anybody have a problem with that date? I'm going to say, if I hear silence, I'm going to think that everybody, okay.
I do have a personal commitment, but does it work for everybody else?
Are we just going to keep it every
It's
third,
like-
the
Third Monday
third
is the rule.
Monday? Is it the third or second Monday? The third Monday of every month?
Some of them jump around, but it's pretty much the third Monday. Some of them might be the second Monday. April gets a little crazy with spring break. That's why. So I mean, is that, first of all, Monday night is fine with everyone to keep it that way, because I think parents are used to having our LSC meetings Monday night at 6:30. And so hence the third, really it's the second, because Labor Day is the day off, but it's the third Monday of the month in September, the 20th. And Chris, that's okay if you can't make it.
Yeah, generally Mondays, the third Monday of the month works well. Has anyone heard any feedback otherwise on timing availability for these meetings?
Nope, I think they're
Okay, then yeah, I think being consistent is
okay.
a good way to go.
Okay. All right, so we're going to say September 20th. October, the second Monday of October is a holiday, so October 18th would be another option. So it's either the 4th or the 18th or the 25th. I'm going to recommend 18th. Does that work? Okay, perfect.
Good.
So November gets a little goofy because we've got report card pickup to parent teacher conferences on the Wednesday. We have done it on the 15th, which this would be the state of the school. So we really want a good parent showing. Or do we think the previous week, which would be Monday the 8th, better? I can do either one.
I think the 8th, I think that would be too I just would feel, would they come to twice in a week?
That's why I'm thinking the 8th, November
The
8th.
8th is better, is what you're
Yep.
saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think November 8th. Okay.
Yep.
So we've got November 8th. We meet socially in December, and hopefully we can do it this year. I think it looks like we can. So keep that open. Probably the 6th, just for us as a social gathering, not a meeting. January, we do come
Sorry,
back.
Chris, just taking notes here. December 6th would be the social one.
December 6th, yes.
Then November 8th is the
Correct.
LSC meeting, and then what was the state of the
That's
school?
the
Is
state of the school. November 8th is the state of the
same
school.
meeting, right? Okay.
Correct. So January, we get back. First day of school back is the 3rd. The 10th is the following week. The 17th is a holiday. So then there's the 24th. So it's, I would think, between the 10th or the 24th. Is the 10th okay? Okay.
Yep.
All right. January 10th it is.
Yep.
February, again, we run into a holiday the 3rd Monday, which is the 21st. February 14th is Valentine's Day. I don't know if you want to spend it with your local school council. So I know we all love each other, but I don't know if our spouses would allow.
Well,
but
do you want to just do that on the 7th then?
we could do it on the 7th. So we'll do February 7th.
Yeah, that works.
And then in March, the 14th or the 21st. Either one works. 21st would be the 3rd Monday. 14th would be the 2nd Monday.
21st, maybe.
Is there any deadline we need to consider there with annual evaluations or CIWP?
I think March 21st might be smarter than the 14th, just because it's later in the month. Hopefully I will have received budget, and then it gives us an opportunity to talk about it, discuss it before we approve it in April. So that's both the CIWP, Chris, great comment, and then the budget. So we're going to say March 21st, if that works for everyone.
And that's virtual, correct?
Yeah, you know what, Angie? We haven't even done. So I would say yes, March should be virtual, and then April should be in person, because then I could give the state of the school for the new CIWP and new budget.
Okay.
So Chris, I thought we got, it took, just put it out there. I thought that April, we didn't get the budget till the end of the month.
So that's correct. It changes.
You didn't have it all ready. There's no way to, the turnaround time to have it like ready in the presentation. It just seems, wasn't it May?
Almost in May. So we
So
could
what-
do, this is the question. Do we want to keep it open so that we can predict when we get our budget? Then we state the date.
Yeah.
We've never done that before. I'm comfortable with doing it, as opposed to trying to guess when we're going to get the budget from CPS
Yeah.
and be able to vote. Do you want to determine a date later on in the school year once we know more information?
Yeah, because I think that's the date that's kind of hopped a little bit because we're dependent on when we're getting it, and it almost that's the main subject that we need to cover.
Correct. And would have to need to be together in order to vote, etc.
So April, I mean, the 4th would be, the 4th, spring break is the second week, so that wouldn't work. The issue that I wonder is that 18th, people might take off. I don't know. You know how
I know.
sometimes that happens. So
And that week is also parent teacher conferences, the week of the 18th.
18th. So could there be a way to combine an April-May meeting? Or do we
could do that? What, or we could just say we can set the date for April and or May or this at the same time later on.
Yeah.
What ends up happening is if you state a meeting date, we have to be there for the meeting on that date. And we can't cancel it. So that's why it's probably better to not have one and then tell everyone when it is well in advance, like in March, what have you. So
it would be like an April/May TBD.
Okay. Sounds good. And then no meeting in June.
Well, don't we need to have a certain amount of meetings in a year?
No, not really. We have to only meet. We only have. I don't think that there's a set amount of times to meet. You can meet monthly, or you can meet more or less.
Chris, I think we have to look at the
bylaws.
Yeah.
Or,
I thought every year we had to at least meet X number of times in a year.
That's fine. Do we want then let's set a June meeting for the 13th. It's the date, it's the last day before school, or June 6th. June 6th.
Okay. June 6th. And could that be like if needed?
If needed, you want to do that?
Do we have to decide it here? Or I can check the.
Yeah,
training
I think we have to check the bylaws.
I don't even know. You know what? It might be in your training for LSC.
Yeah, I think I've got it somewhere. But I've just dropped in the chat what we've decided so far. So 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 meetings.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Can we set those 8 in the calendar and then finalize it offline? Whether we do a June one or
Why
not?
don't we do that and finalize it
I
once?
think it's only considered 7 meetings because the December 6th one is not an actual meeting.
Yeah, December's a
September, October,
holiday party for us.
Okay.
February, March. Yeah, as of right now, we only have 6 done, 6 completed. So to be determined April, May, and June. And then we'll discuss this at the next meeting. And then I can get information from Luis. So we've got accurate information from him. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll determine April, May, and June dates in September. But most likely Monday, obviously, and probably the 2nd or 3rd. And then we'll get more information about the budget and what have you. Okay, so going back to the agenda here, virtual or not virtual, I know we did say for sure a spring end of the year will be in person and November will be in person. Is there another month that we would like, maybe September because it's the beginning of the school year? Maybe we might get new parents that would come to school. Just making a suggestion.
Sorry, did you?
To be in person.
Oh, whether we do virtual or in person.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, to strike anyone odd, are we meeting too late in the beginning of the year? Is September 20th too late, or do we want to add like either make that 20th one in person, or add an early August, early September meeting? And both because it's a new school year, and 2 because the annex, right? Are we still breaking ground in October for the annex?
We're hopeful.
So there'll probably be a lot of questions and activities around
Well,
that time.
school's starting August 30th. I don't think you're going to get folks really engaged before school starts. So if you want, I mean, maybe if there's an opportunity to bump up maybe after the second week of September.
That's going to be curriculum night, most likely.
Oh.
Or curriculum week. We usually do what, Wednesday, Thursday of that week?
Then that's going to be,
That's
again,
probably going to be an opportunity for parents to get lots of classroom level info. I don't know in terms of LSC.
I think
Again, that just goes kind of back to can we get parents to show up twice in a week type of deal.
Mhm.
yeah.
Unless we made it virtual, maybe.
That's right. There's curriculum night. No, if there's other kickoff activities, I'd rather those
I don't think we want to
take the
compete
parents'
with
attention.
those.
No, I don't.
So stick with September 20th?
Deepak, did you have any comments there?
Well, I thought the question was, should the first meeting be in person? And I would be in favor of that.
Oh, in person.
Okay, switch September 20th to in person.
In person.
Any objections? All right.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So that means September, November, and April. I don't know if we want to do one in January or not. And then that would be 4 in person.
Chris, did the central command tell us that we can have a waiver to do virtual for the coming school year?
We haven't received any guidance
Okay.
yet. So ISB, I don't know if you guys saw this, but ISB, Illinois State Board of Education, just released that they will be having school in person 5 days a week and making recommendations that they would, instead of the 6 feet distancing, it would be 3 feet distancing. So we're waiting on CPS to make guidance now that they've just received ISB guidance. I think they received them Friday or Saturday over the weekend. So, no, Command Central, Deepak, I love that, has not given us any guidance.
Well, I just meant for the LSC meetings, because the LSC meetings, I thought the original rules said they had to be in person.
Yeah.
I know, but a lot of things are, I think, changing because of
Okay.
COVID and, work. So
And of
that's- I think
course,
we're making the assumption that it will be a little bit more flexible.
And I think if we're gonna have the September one in person, and then we can move on into the spring and see how many people show. You know, if we're getting great turnout because of the annex, because of being back in the building, then maybe you could switch another one in the spring and have a second one in person as well. But I don't feel like, since we don't know and so much is up in the air, like maybe we don't have to determine that now.
okay. And
But
then
I
we
would
make
say
it,
September is a great one in, and November is a great one in, and April was that our third one. Then maybe make your decision on the another in person as we move forward.
okay.
Just a
Um,
thought.
Question on the protocol though, are we going to basically state mask protocol for unvaccinated that attend?
You know what, Angie, CPS will give us that guidance.
Okay,
They'll make it very clear. So that's why that's the other unknown. We don't know if they're going to allow adults in the building, volunteers, I would
Right.
assume. But do you say you're only allowed to volunteer and come into the building as long as you've been vaccinated?
Wait, but even for the LSC meetings, if you're putting an invite out, I think you're going to have to state that in the invite.
We will, for
Okay.
sure.
Is that, Angie, were you talking about the meetings itself?
yeah.
Yeah.
What's any in the world of business? Is anybody meeting in person yet?
I'm,
We're-
I'm still 100% virtual.
Yeah.
I'm on sabbatical. I'll see my new job when I get it.
we started a hybrid and we'll be in person 3 days a week. But that's a good point. Like, there's so many factors there. Since if it's not too cumbersome, could we even for the on-site ones, could we open add a Zoom or a Google Meet link in every meeting so that there's an option for anyone who's unable to attend or just more comfortable attending remotely?
No, I agree. And also that I like the recording factor too. so somebody can go back and review it, or when we put it on the website or
Yeah.
in the newsletter.
I'd
So
be in
how
favor
would
of
that
keeping that
work?
going.
So how would that work though in an LSC meeting live? We'd have to bring a little speaker so that it could be heard, because if it's on someone's computer, then you get this like technical situation going on. Just need to think through how we do it.
We'll think through
We're
that.
not gonna,
But
we're not gonna be hovering over someone's computer.
No, we'd have to have the equipment.
For the one or two people. I
we
mean,
don't know. Come on, Sean, don't jinx us. We're
we've
gonna
been
have
talk- yeah,
30
okay.
people now.
Even though we went full virtual this year, it was just Robert Sesniak's our only guest ever.
Yeah, well, I meant more for our members here too at the council.
Right,
if for whatever
right.
reason,
But you know, we've got the equipment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We have got the equipment because of teaching too. I mean, we may need to move into a different room, or we go up to 219, Sean, maybe on the bigger computer. I mean, bigger screen upstairs, up in the teachers' lounge, our temporary teachers' lounge. But I think that's great. I think we'll wait for more guidance whether or not we can do virtual. If not, we'll do all in person. But we'll just wait on that for now. I just want to make sure we have dates down so that we can move on with the calendars. All good? And then we'll wait to see what April, May, and June look like. It's always better to add a meeting as opposed to say that you're going to have a meeting and not be able to cancel it. If that makes sense. Okay. All right. Then the other thing that I know the bylaws, Elaine has them. She will share them with them so we can do a final vote on that. I want to, before we go into the school uniform conversation, can I get what is it? Anybody want to propose the school usage for Right at School and Test Prep Chicago? Does anybody have any questions about the two companies and what they provide?
I'm not familiar with Test Prep Chicago. Wait, is it the yeah, if you could give me a little more background on that one.
Sure, not a problem. Test Prep, we've had a relationship over the years. They come in and there's like a tutoring session. It kind of is helping the students with test taking strategies and support the kids with the selective enrollment exam. Sean, is it both for the 7th graders and the 8th graders? Do you know here?
We used to offer a fall session, which would be for the current 8th grade, getting ready to take the late fall, early winter selective enrollment test or Catholic school test. So it kind of geared it towards both. They're pretty similar in nature, the two tests. And then we would always do a spring session for the 7th graders getting ready to take NWA in the spring. Well, NWA is effective, currently gone. It is no more. So the Test Prep Chicago would be right at the beginning of the year. It would be a 6 or 7 week class. So it'd be like, we've historically always done it in Mr. Lundek's room. The vendors come in from the outside. It's 2 teachers and they teach the class from 3 to 5:15. And it's like a 7-week crash course for the kids. Like I said, like Chris said, giving them test taking strategies, getting them familiar with content, and then just stuff that they may see. So it is a tuition-based class that parents pay for, and I think it would be 7 weeks, so it would line up right to that selective enrollment class. So long story short, in years past, the selective enrollment test would always be done where parents had to sign them up or kids had to sign up through Go CPS, and you would go to a site, whether it be Lane Tech, Taft, Von Steuben, to take the test on a Saturday. That's no longer. They're now allowing every kid in CPS to take it, and it'll be done at your home school during the week, given by your 8th grade teachers. So
Nice.
that's a huge change. So I don't know, how much that will impact in terms of what kids want to take this Chicago test prep class, but we usually have, I think the last year we did it, we had 1 kid from Wildwood that came, 1 kid from Queens that came, and then 14 or 15 Sauganash kids. So it's usually a pretty good turnout. It is expensive. It's like close to $400, I think. That was for like 10 weeks. So I don't know what it would be for the, shorter stint, but most kids that take it have had a positive experience and parents have liked it. So we did it, I think 6 years in a row, five or 6 years in a row. So obviously with NWA being gone, we would not need the spring session. But that's a whole nother story we can explain later.
As we just found out.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So we need to just vote on it.
So just for them to be able to utilize the
Yep.
building.
Okay. So do you want to? I propose that we vote on test prep and
Right at school.
right at school.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Any
Aye.
nays? Okay, so both pass. So we will allow both right at school and the Chicago Test Prep Chicago to help our students with that selective enrollment. Okay, and so one of the things I'm sort of rules of order for LSC meetings, I'm kind of sticking in our committees. And I know that some of the committees that we brought forward were the safety committee, the budget committee, annex committee, career day committee, and the coalition. Does anybody else have any other committee suggestions that they want to bring forward? Okay, and hearing none. I didn't know if everybody had an opportunity. We were trying to get all members included for being on the committees. I obviously will be on almost all of them, or all of them, I should say. And then some of them that wanted to. Is it better to, instead of writing it out right now, maybe email the group and just so we know who would want to chair each committee? I think that would be most effective. I do know that I've heard from both Elaine and Stephen Cooper, they their choices, but I think the coalition's going to be unique this year in trying to get that up and going. And one of our goals for the coalition is to get involved with other parents at other schools so that we're a larger number. And our focus would be on budgeting and really specifically around being able to afford teaching positions and asking the Board of Education to go back to the BRACS formula. So instead of teachers, instead of getting an amount of money to pay for teachers, that we would be, that the formula would be based on how many students that we have. So that again is 28 students in primary classrooms K through 3, and then grades 4 through 8 would be 31 students. So each those a group of 31 kids or a group of 28 kids would equal one teaching position, regardless of the cost of the teacher position. So what I will do is kind of educate everyone on, for those that don't have the historical background to it, so that we can get our voices heard. And my suggestion for the coalition is also to get parents to make one-on-one appointments with board members. I don't know if it's going to be virtual or in person, kind of like the same strategy that we did when requesting for the annex.
I would say though, just I do have interest. I still have interest to being part of the budget. I don't have to chair it this year. I know I've chaired it for, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 years. Definitely, if someone wants that opportunity, would like to be continue with the budget. But I think it's important that someone from the budget is also part of the coalition, because you really have to connect the dots of how the budget is developed and how it works for Saguenash and where the deficiencies are and where it's not working. I mean, you have to be able to talk that lingo. So I would just suggest that you have a couple people that are in the budget committee also in the coalition committee.
Perfect.
Not to say that just because you don't know, you may not be in the weeds with the budget, you still can say the message and understand. I'm not saying that no one should feel you definitely be part of it, even if you're not in the budget. But I do think you need like 1 or 2 people to be able to connect the two.
I agree. So if there is interest in any of those, and then career day, we're bringing back from a couple of years ago, the LSC maybe even more than a couple years ago, LSC did help run that and gather parents and community members to help, explain and share careers with our students. So that's just another something of a different and new. Safety, obviously, in and out of the building, and in addition to the community. And then the annex is probably an update, making sure that we're being vocal and transparent to our school community on how it's going.
Is Career Day already set on the calendar?
No, it has not been. So we can, and
Angie,
usually
is that of interest?
It is. I love doing stuff like that. Like I went to Lane, and I've gone back there as an alum, and like participated in their career day and worked with an old classmate who teaches there of getting other people involved. So yeah, I love that.
Fantastic. Good. So I'm just going to ask the members to please put reply to all so that everybody can see what committees they are signed up to chair and co-chair. Definitely co-chair. I think it's so much easier when we have two people. It's too hard when it's just one person.
Yeah.
Plus it helps, educate and communicate to other LSC members. So it's good. Okay. That's our committees. Now, something that I want to talk about is the school uniform policy. So at the end of the school year, the upper grade teachers came to Mr. Kennedy and myself expressing that the students' wishes of wanting to not have a uniform, our uniform of khaki or navy uniform for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students at this point. I do know there's pros and cons for both. It's been a year and a half that the students have not worn a uniform. It can both be a financial strain because now they've got to go purchase uniforms, or it can be a savings because their students are wearing, some of the same things. So really what I want to do is just kind of open it up for discussion and just talk about this. I know it came up late, so I'm definitely acknowledging that, and I'm not really keen on making a decision, but I did promise the teachers that I would bring it forward. I did explain to them that the LSC has to vote on this, and it's to let the students know that their voices are being heard. And I want to make sure that we acknowledge that they what their wishes are, and that there's a discussion about it. So if anybody wants to put in some 2 cents, go right ahead. Deepak, you want to start?
Can I start actually? Because I have a framework that I sent.
Go for it.
I'd like to go through, and then if we can add to that. So I did, and I don't know if anybody else had a chance. I hope we probably did not overlap with reaching out to parents. But so I did reach out just to 20. I got more responses back. So I think I ended up at 24 families that have multiple kids in different grades, including entering 6th grade. And that's just because, I have an incoming 6th grader. So I do know the whole 5th or up 6th grade class. Same with Deepak, right? So we may have some of the similar parents that we might have reached out to. But the overwhelm, it was majority. The parents, they understand maybe the kids, the votes and the kids, they would not like to have uniforms. I was pretty surprised. I thought that I went very unbiased, just give me your thoughts. And majority wanted to keep the uniforms. A couple were on the fence. I wrote up the parent feedback in the micro, I think I sent a Word document out. So I just put it somewhat in verbatim, or if there was duplicate response. The main pros for the uniform was evens out the playing field on clothing, the haves versus have-nots on brands or amount of clothes. I thought this was an interesting point. Distinguishes our upper class students, given they don't have a junior high, middle school campus, younger kids look up to them and set them accountable for another level of responsibility. Easy to maintain expectations of what is and not acceptable and follows school dress code. And then teaches students how to dress for a job. The cons, again, really good points as well. Suppressing individuals to find their own creativity style. You can kind of keep reading the document. Suppresses accepting differences of expression. Right now, it's the feedback I did get is it's not the most flattering, especially for the girls during the with the current colors of khaki, which that was in the past. I think people forget that the Navy did. I think that was communicated at one point. And then some people said, it's a public school. We shouldn't have to, we don't have any issues with gang affiliations. It shouldn't be, they kind of brought that view in. So just as a proposal, this is ideas plus what parents have suggested. The Friday's my idea. I don't know if that makes sense, but if we continue it for this year, and maybe make Friday as an optional day. So we're hearing the student body, it's a little bit of a compromise there, but then they still have to follow the dress codes. The ask was to expand the options for navy pants and skirts. So you can see pants, khaki or navy blue, skirts, khaki or navy blue, must be no shorter than 5 inches above the knee. So to be consistent with, I think someone put at knee, which will be impossible to find in terms of short skirts and shorts. But if we can stay consistent with what you're able to see, I think with the dress code for the 6th and 8th graders, same thing with the shorts and shirts, navy on navy, I don't know, but navy, light blue or white, just give a little bit of options. Just because it's really hard to find. The thought is sometimes is that it's hard to find some of these clothes here. And then the sweatshirt option, consistent with what you said. And then the other thing that came up is gym days allow for navy light leggings, yoga pants option. Availability to purchase jogging pants is limited. And then for next year with more time, in April or whatever we have a teacher conference or however the survey, get more of the student body, parents to have a more formal vote with a bigger sample size. Because I'm just giving a sample size of 24 families. But just wanted to put that out there because like I said, trying to put this together and give some feedback and some data from parents. A little surprised. I thought for sure it would swing a different way, but that's what they gave me.
Does anybody else? I know I had a discussion with Sean Kennedy in regards to the Friday, and Sean brought up a good point. Sean, do you want to share?
I just feel like if you were to do every Friday that they're allowed to then wear the not uniform, it creates for more ability to just kind of go off base. Because I don't know, it's just the uniform has been a hot button issue for a while within the building. I'll just say, there's certain kids that follow it better than others. There's certain teachers that enforce it better than others. So then there's certain teachers that become, this person's always enforcing it. This person's never enforcing it. We've never had 5th grade wear a uniform, and we always had 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 5th and 6th are virtually together for everything. So that was always a very big disconnect because, they have the same teachers. I really don't care one way or another. I think the pros and cons list was perfect, and I think I agree with a lot of it. So I'm not anti one way or another. I just think, I know there were a lot of students voicing it for the last couple of years, and I don't know if I know in our last CWP, one of our goals was student voice, and I think in order for us to kind of, like Chris said, make sure we felt like we were giving them a voice and hearing them. I just thought it was important that it was brought up. So that's, but yeah, I honestly, truth be told, I am not for or against one way or the other. I wore a uniform my whole life. So, I get it. I don't love the idea of every Friday being like hey, I just think you're going to get more kids that, try to push the limits. If we were to do every once in a while, like we do the school spirit days or something like that, I'm all for that, or the Jersey day, if we do school spirit week. I don't love the every Friday thing because then I feel like you're automatically just getting into an issue there. And then also if the kids have PE on Fridays, then are those kids? I don't love that idea. But
You bring up a good point with the fifth graders. That I see that as well. I was on to be honest, that's why I started reaching out to as many parents that I could to get some feedback. I see both ways. I was surprised by the overwhelming no, please keep the uniforms. I didn't think that was going to be, but I'm just presenting you what I received.
And I think in the past, when the pants idea was got brought up, Chris and I were cool with khaki pants, black pants, navy blue pants. You know, I don't think that was ever a concern on our end. For us, you know, we just want, and like I said, most of the kids wake up and they do a very good job. It's just, you know, if there's certain kids kind of pushing limits, and then, you know, teachers enforce, and then eventually, you know, they stop enforcing. It just kind of becomes a tension thing in the classroom when you know that, you know, certain students maybe are not, you know, as aligning to what the, you know, requirements are. So again, I'm not for or against, but I do think it's something that's been kind of tossed around for the last couple of years.
So
And then with not having it for, you know, when we went full remote March of 2019 or 2020, March of 2020, none of the kids wore them because they were on Zooms. And then the next year when we had half the kids coming for hybrid, we told them they didn't have to wear them because their fellow peers were at home not wearing them as well. So, you know, that was just kind of why we brought it up now.
So I'm coming from a different place, right? Of Queen of All Saints, where it's all uniform. So I have my own view on it. My son has an opposite view. What are the repercussions for not following uniform code at Saguenash?
I mean, most of the kids do follow it. You know, it's not as strict. Like when I used to get a demerit if I didn't have a belt. I used to, you know, get a demerit if it wasn't tucked in. We don't really have those types of. I would say all of our kids do a great job with it.
But if there was an issue, parents would be called.
99% of it gets handled by the teachers. It's not. It normally never escalates to Chris or I. So clearly, it's not a huge issue because I just know. You know, there's a couple things that have been like the 5th, 6th thing is a huge thing because the 5th and 6th grade teachers clearly know when they have 5th grade because they walk in, you know, dressed in plain clothes and whatever, and then the 6th grade walked in their uniform. But in terms of kids being defiant or anything like that, 0 to none.
Does anybody else have any comments? Deepak, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I just want to know, in what year did you implement a uniform and why?
Oh my gosh.
Great call.
Can
Before
I
I
say
was here.
probably 17 years ago, 15 years ago? And the reason why was it was the labels, the clothing labels, like the haves and the have-nots. And the other thing is, I mean, this will give you an idea of what decade. I always called it the Britney Spears look. I don't mean to give Britney Spears a backlash, but it was the don't want to see anything up on top and don't want to see anything on the bottom.
The mid, that's now trend again, is, you know, crop tops.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of uniforms.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
it seems to
I
seems
wore
to me like this is
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
it seems like this is a solution looking for a problem. You know, it doesn't seem like there's any wide desire to change this, and it doesn't seem like this is something that's demanding our action.
And I don't think I agree, Tom, and I don't think you can base it off of the past year, because my kids wear uniform, and when they were home, I wish they had to put their uniform on, because they would get on a Zoom meeting with their hair crazy and not looking like up and ready to go and ready for school. So I don't think we can base them not having one this past year on what we should do moving forward. And I agree, the labels or inappropriate length of a short or, you know, like it just eliminates all of that you don't have to worry, especially with girls who are like, oh, they have such good clothes and I don't, that kind of thing. But again, I wore a uniform from 1st grade to 12th. So, and we got the last Friday off of the month. No uniform.
Yeah, and I'm all for, once a month or something like that. I just think if you do it every Friday, it gets a little tricky. And like I said, if someone has PE, then,
Yeah, I agree.
That gets tricky.
I didn't
I
think of it.
also, I think it's a little late for us to be like, oh, we want to switch it and make 5th grade now required to be uniform. Like, I don't know if that's fair. So maybe that's something, if uniforms do stay, is that something you phase in the following year? Because like Chris said, 17 years ago when they implemented uniforms, we didn't really tie our 5th and 6th together like we do now. Like they're basically joined at the hip when it comes to teacher teams, grade level teams. Like, so, when the uniforms first started, that, 6th grade was on an island, 5th grade was on an island. So that kind of evolved since.
Anybody else want to add to the discussion?
Chris, can you just share a little bit about what other Chicago K-8 schools do? Are we an anomaly, or do most have a uniform policy in place?
Go ahead.
In our network, we're one of very few that have uniforms. Edgebrook, Ebinger, Edison, Onahan, all of the ones very close to us have no uniforms. If you get closer to some of like the Network 2 schools, Network 3, like Pilsen, I know some of them have uniforms, and some of them even go down K-8, like some people are referring to. But I think Peterson's the only one I know, and I think it's similar to us where they have like 6th, 7th, and 8th only. They wear the khakis with the maroon tops, but Palmer, Edison, Edgebrook, Onahan, none of them wear uniforms.
And roughly, what's the cost to the parents for annual uniforms? I'm not there yet with my kids.
It's hard, right? Because you have to net out. If we're wearing uniforms most of the time, I'm not going to buy other clothes for them to wear during school. Then that gets deducted out. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's not like we're going to a uniform
I'm sure other families
store.
might be indifferent.
It's not like we're going to a uniform store per se and having a set uniform. We're buying.
Oh, right. You buy to meet the policy. You buy your own clothes. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a little bit.
Okay.
But parents have to plan it, and they need to know what's what. So like now, so they can plan for September or August 30th, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly don't mind us being exceptional in the general pool of Chicago public schools. I don't think we should take our cues from other people.
All good comments. Any other comments to add? I think it's important, and I'll make sure that we communicate this to the upper grade teachers, that there was a robust conversation. We looked at both the pros and the cons, and then, we voted accordingly. There is a huge thing that I'm having an issue with is timing and not being able to get consensus from our families, like putting out a survey, in November and asking them, hey, we're thinking about this for next school year. What are your thoughts? And then that would be another great opportunity to say, if we are going to do the school uniforms, we're expanding it to 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, to the 5th graders. So I think that would be, fair. And I think it's important, that they know that the students' voices are being heard. And that, we took them seriously. I'm hearing more of a keep what we're doing, keep the status. And then the Fridays, I don't know if it's necessarily Fridays, because it's not fair to those kids that do have gym on Fridays. If we did days like even, I know we do Spirit Week, but other days that we could say, okay, Tuesday, I don't know if this is going to be more confusing for parents or not. I wouldn't be able to keep it straight.
I feel like in years past, the random days we've had are pretty random. Historically, a lot of Fridays, but I think, the Spirit Weeks and other stuff are somewhat random too.
And that was just a proposal just to kind of meet the student body in the middle.
Yeah, I love it.
Look, guys, I didn't take a big sample size, and I don't think that the what I provided from a sample, it's I think the right approach. And I think, Chris, the reason why maybe we don't make the change is truly because of timing. And if the effort for next year can be done with the student body and the families to get their feedback and do it the right way, then that's the feedback that we give back to the students, because I just don't think we're doing, I mean, 25 families, not enough of a sample size to make a decision. It really just needs to be based on timing. It's not enough.
And, you know, and there's another opportunity we could give the students days where the teachers and the students work towards an out of uniform day for, you know, a reason of, you know, and a lot of times, especially like when they go do some of their field trips, they'll be out of uniform, you know, that type of thing. So it just, I think if they know that they've been heard and that there's some wiggle room, and they can come up where they can own it a little bit of days why we're choosing not to be in uniform, then I would be comfortable with leaving that up to the junior high teachers and the students.
So I know at Queens we do have some out of uniform days, Spirit Week and stuff like that, but it's a rewards based system, you know, so something has occurred in a class, and because of that, that grade gets to be out of uniform for a specific day.
Perfect.
And the kids love it, you know, because it's then like a celebration for them to be out of uniform.
And they've got ownership of it. So
Right.
I like it too. Yeah.
Can we, is there plans to send then as soon as possible uniform, like this vote, or I don't know if it's a known fact, but if not, just what is the policy itself? And if we can talk through about making the color choices open, because some people didn't know about that. And that seems to be a big issue with, I would say, parents that have girls. Specifically.
Completely.
The
Yeah.
khaki thing does not work.
Agree. So yes, we can definitely make options. We'll definitely communicate it. We can put it in our next, you know, newsletter, because I know that we've gotten some phone calls, you know, asking about it. So I know parents are anxious to buy the uniform or know what's happening moving forward. So I'm going to assume we're not going to take a vote at this time. Is that consensus? Okay. I think that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I'll communicate that and let them know. And then this might evolve into something that can be like a rewarding system Angie was describing, you know, and them having a little bit more of a choice and decisions as to, you know, why we're out of uniform and what did we do to deserve it, type of thing, to earn it, I should say. Okay. So then we're choosing not to take a vote on it at this time. And then what I'm hearing from the group is that we'll survey the parents in the, you know, say November of next year, so that there's well in advance information for all the families to plan accordingly for the following school year.
And maybe that's in one of the, not the State of the Union, but your budget, maybe that you could show the results.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Chris, I had one other question on this. Is it like all the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who complain, or like a vocal minority?
No. First of all, Deepak, just so you know, students usually come to my office when they want to, you know, have a good idea. And same thing with Sean's office. And none of the students came to the office, but I also think this was just not a normal year. And I don't know if it's because they were in pods and didn't plan. It was the teachers that came to us in helping voice what the students.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think when they were in hybrid sitting in front, they're like, oh, this is kind of nice. We don't have to wear uniform. And that's how it kind of got started and brought up. So yeah, difficult, different year. But yeah, I don't think anyone's going to put up a stink if we say we're policy staying the same. I don't think it's going to.
And that we're looking
an issue
into
at
it, you know, for the future, and then we'll make a decision at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for polling those parents and being flexible, and again, listening to our students, because they're part of the school as well. So it's important for us to make sure that they know that they're being heard. Anything else? Are there any other topics open discussion? I think we covered everything. I'm eagerly waiting CPS's information of what will happen, what it will look like. Mr. Kennedy and I are in meetings this entire rest of the week that we're hopefully finding out more information about next school year, as well as we've got our law conference the following week that we attend. So if nothing, no other items.
Sorry, Chris. We usually have the annex as a standing item on this agenda, and I just realized maybe we don't have it because it's in an organizational meeting.
Okay.
But is there any? I know we mentioned it as a committee. We want to bring it back as a committee so we can maybe communicate, align, and communicate out to the community better over this coming year as it's being built. But I just wanted to put it out there. Is there any other update on the timing or scope? And is there any, just for the group in general, is there anything we want to change next year?
No, we'll definitely need to communicate, as phases go on. I'm sure Sean will definitely include pictures in the newsletter so the parents can see, what is happening inside the building. Unfortunately, we still don't have a timeline. So that is something that we've requested. I can share with the group 2 weeks ago, we got a phone conference call on asking what specific machinery like 3D printers, robotic, machines that are going into the STEM lab. So they were still working on, I would say, and I don't have Elaine here, like detailed schematic, plans.
Voltage.
Yeah. So I'm a little nervous. I'm putting pressure on them to give us a timeline. So I don't know. And then, I don't even want to say it out loud, but I'm going to. Anybody who's dealing with construction or has been on the news knows that there's some delays due to COVID and logistics and getting things where they need to get. So I'm hoping that's not a factor. But Chris, I agree. We will definitely communicate all the information that we receive. And I think newsletter is the best way to go to communicate it.
I mean, the original timeline said end of quarter 3, start of quarter 4, which would be the end of quarter 3 is what, September 30th, and the start of quarter 4 is October 1st. So if we're going off of that, which was what was initially said to us, then, I think that probably why we haven't gotten any information, because that's, still a little bit of ways out. So I'm sure at some point Chris and I will get updated. But they've also sent us like blah, blah, blah needs to come check out the building, a specific architect or something like that. So there's been people around. There just hasn't been an official start to the process like Chris was referring to.
And with the neighbors, I know there, what was it, a couple months ago or June, we very last minute did that article, and we also had neighbors that were concerned about just the aesthetics and making sure it works within the neighborhood. Has there been a follow-up to that, just to make sure it doesn't become
Another barrier? Yeah.
Another issue? Just want to make sure we're following up, that they're following up with the community concerns.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. For sure. I've told they were, yeah. I think that they were having meetings, so I'm not sure what was going on. I will